Overtime. Alex Myers, Brian Hartman joining you. We may have another guest or two throughout the evening. We'll have to see as Tony B takes the night off. Tennessee, big winners tonight, 89 to 60, the final over Tennessee State, the Tigers, as Tennessee moves to 5-0 on the season. And this is kind of putting a bow on the part of the season where you kind of just yawn it away. There was some excitement the first game or two. You try to get some new players, see what you got. And then, quite frankly, the last 2 or 3 games, including tonight, for the most part, just not real compelling. But, as always, there'll be some stuff to talk about, some things that we noticed, some things that we liked, some things that we didn't. If you'd like to join in the discussion, I talked to Brian. If you're listening on Twitter Spaces, you heard us talk about this. This is not going to be a marathon night. We're going to kind of get on, talk about it, hear from you, and then we'll get right back off of here. So if you'd like to get in and talk, go ahead and give us a call now, 865-200-5402, the number, 865-200-5402. We will go to the phones momentarily. But first, I want to bring in Brian Hartman to get your thoughts on Brian. I thought, personally, a couple quick thoughts for me. That Tennessee State effort in the first half, that was one of the more brutal watches I remember seeing offensively in Thompson-Boling Arena. They lit it up a little bit there in the second half. Tennessee did not cover, for those of you who may be keeping score at home and care about things of that nature. But Tennessee kind of had some ebbs and flows in this one, kind of had some ups and downs. A little concerning to me. I don't know how wise it was when you've got, obviously, the depth in your front court is the strength of your team. However, you've got Estrella, who's a little bit banged up, obviously didn't play tonight, and Okpara looks like he twists an ankle or something in that game, and then you've still got him in there up 29 points as the seconds tick down at the end of the ball game, and you've still got Felix Okpara in there. I don't like that. I don't love it. I don't understand it. But that's Rick Barnes, and I think metric-wise you want to cover. They didn't do it though. But we've got some things to discuss. Brian, your thoughts on tonight's ball game before we go to the phones at 865-200-5402 here on the Garza Law Tennessee Basketball Overtime. Brian?
Yeah, it was a rough watch in the first half, and I think that Tennessee got a little bit bored in the second half because they played 5 games against this type of competition, and they just want to get to something a little bit more challenging, which awaits them in Vegas next week. But I tell you, 2 things I liked is the post play all around was really good. Even Phillips got in there, got some rebounds, and forced some turnovers, had a couple blocks on 3-point attempts. And I really loved Jalen Carey's game. Now, he fouled out. That's not good. He can't – but they have a lot of fouls to give at that position, so in a way, maybe it's not so bad. But I think one thing they did find tonight is they found maybe a reliable scoring option at the 2 guard. Amari Abram came off the bench, actually started, and made 3-point shots in the first 5 minutes of the game to get Tennessee off to a great start. And he finished with 15 points on the night and went to the free throw line, was in the ace there. So those are a couple of pretty good things that I picked up on. And also, you talk about Okpara. I guess it's a good thing that he was able to stay in the game and play when we thought he might have been a little bit injured. So, but I kind of question why you would have him in there in the dying seconds. That is true. That's a good point. But all around, 89 to 60, I think the Vols have on the season. They're giving up between 56 and 66 points a game, right around 60. So they got the average defensively. Offensively, they got close to 90. They got close to the spread. I think their average margin of victory in these games is somewhere around 28, 29 points. So you can't really sneeze at that.
Yeah, Brian, and I think Abram, that's a good point. I didn't mention him. Him and Carey, I was impressed with them. Thought that they showed a little bit more tonight. I think to me, on air, off the air, the conversations I've had around this basketball team, to me, my biggest concern is, outside of Estrella's health, is who is going to step up at the 2 guard. Because, Gillespie's a guy that works well with the ball in his hand. He's a scoring point guard. Maybe not, the typical kind of pass-first point guard, but you're going to need some guys that can hit an open shot because Gillespie, Billy Gillespie, as I believe he was referred to tonight on the broadcast, I'm not sure if you caught that, Brian, but Gillespie and Ament are going to draw so much attention. If you can have a guy, whoever that may be, Boswell, Abram, Berg, somebody that can go over there and hit a couple open threes a game. They don't have to be a guy that averages double digits, but there need to be somebody that can hit an open shot because there are going to be opportunities. He went 3 of 4, did Abram, in the first half from 3, finished with 9 points in the first half. In the game, he had 15. We'll go to the phones now. I'd like to hear your thoughts, what was good, what was bad, what was ugly, and everything in between as we put a bow on the first portion of this season where the games were just not real interesting. But, hey, I think this team, as we've seen, needed that type of an opening of the season to try to figure some things out and see what they've got. Let's go to our first caller. Welcome in.
Hey, guys, Dave.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for being there.
Listen, guys, listen. Tell me one thing this Tennessee team does well. They got some size down low. They don't have any guards. Gillespie is a horrible point guard. He's a turnover machine. That team had nearly 20 turnovers tonight against horrible competition, these 5 games. Horrible competition. Last year's team, the last few years under Mars, his teams would have beat this team by 50 points. This team's not any good, guy. I'm just when they line up and they play somebody that can play, they're going to get their butts beat. And I'm telling you, they don't have the guard. They don't have the guard play at all. Gillespie can score some, but he's not a point guard. He does not value the basketball at all, and he doesn't guard well either.
Well, he had 3.
So,
he had 3 steals tonight. I will throw something out at you. I will agree with you, Dave, that he does turn the ball over too much. He is careless at times with the basketball, and that will hurt you against real opponents. There's no question. I have no argument.
Bird's terrible too. He can't. You put a little bit of pressure on him, and he's not the answer.
Well, he's just not athletic enough at this
He's
level.
not
It's going to be hard.
And I
hard
don't
for
even
him to
think
operate.
he's 6'3". I don't know who tried to pull that one off. He looks closer to about 6'1", 6'2". I mean, and the Abram guy, I don't know. Maybe he can give you some minutes, but I'm telling you, Boswell is going to be your 2 guard, and he is because he's going to be your best perimeter defender, and that's why he's going to play because he can defend the perimeter, and hopefully he can knock down some shots. That's about the only chance we got at the 2-guard position. But our point guard, I had Vanderbilt game on my phone, and I was watching their offense, and they put up 107 points tonight. I mean, they look so good. The passing, the spacing. I have no idea what we're doing. We just don't have any guards. We just don't have enough guards. We're not athletic enough on the perimeter at all. We're just not. And and I'm still telling you. Let me ask both you guys right now. At the end of this year, do you think that Nate Ament is going to be as good as Chaz Lanier or Dalton Connect was at the end of when they were here? Is he going to be that good?
Brian, that's a very interesting question. Brian, I'll let you go first. I'm going to think about that for a second.
Well, I think he's going to have a chance to be in the conversation.
I guess
I don't know if that's the answer you were looking for, but I think he's going to get better than what he is. He's going to be better than he is now.
I guess.
Okay, let me ask you. Okay.
Let me answer that, Dave. My answer to that, I think, would be no. I don't think he will be as polished as Dalton Connect was in his 4th year of college at age 22, but I do think he can be just about as valuable if you use him right.
Okay, and let me ask you this: Brandon Miller was about just inside the top 10 in the rankings. Nate Ament was 3 or 4, whatever he was. Jabari Smith was 3 or 4, about where Nate Ament was. Do you think that Nate Ament is as good as Jabari Smith, or will be as good as Brandon Miller, or Jabari Smith was their freshman years?
Well, I think a lot of that comes down to how Tennessee decides to use him. I've said earlier in the year, and I still think it's true, I think he will be at his best, and I think Tennessee offensively will be at their best if they can use him as a point guard in transition. You saw it tonight, Dave. One of to me, his most underrated skill is his vision and his ability to pass the ball. And I think in the half court, he's talented, he's skilled, he can do some things. To me, I think his most dangerous, like if I'm coaching against Tennessee, what I would fear the most is to see 6'10" Nate Ament driving past half court, crossing that line on a 3-on-2 break. And I think if Tennessee allows him to get out and run and allows him to get out and do that, I think he can be just as effective as those guys. Now, in the half court, with as ball dominant as Gillespie is, maybe not. But I think he's got that. I think that's there if Tennessee decides to go out and use that. But they're going to have to get turnovers and stuff, obviously, on the defensive end to make that happen.
So here's the thing, guys. Go ahead.
About Ament. He had a poor shooting night, but he still scored 15 points, had 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. So
yeah, but we can all score. If we take 16 shots, we're all going to score double figures.
He took 10 shots. He's
an inefficient player.
Well, what I liked, you talk about him and Gillespie, but they were 9 for 10 combined from the free throw line, and that does matter, Dave, because those are the guys that, like it or not, they're going to have the ball in their hands in games that matter late, and they're going to be the guys that have to go up there and hit free throws. Dave, I want to ask.
Here's my problem. My problem is we do not look dominant. I'm talking about. I know we won the game by 30 points, but we have not looked dominant.
No,
in any of our games.
No, I think that's a good point. I think that's valid. I don't think. I have not really seen a killer instinct from anybody on this team to where, you get up by 20-something or low 20s in the first half, and you got a chance at the end of the first half, early second half to put your foot on the jugular and finish the game and get those starters out there early. You see it at the end of the game when you're up by 30 and then the game gets down close to, I think, 20 again. With a few minutes left, and then it extends back out. But no, I won't argue with you there, Dave. Your point is well taken. But I'll ask you this.
My prediction for next week is that we squeak by Rutgers, and we get hammered by Houston. And I don't know what happens after that. Y'all have a good night.
Hey, Dave. See? I was going to ask Dave a question there. Here's the question that I was going to ask for Dave, and Brian, I'll let you think about it, and we'll come back. And if anybody wants to hop in here and join the conversation, you can answer this. You can tell us whatever else you want to tell. As far as your thoughts on the game, the number is 865-200-5402. Before we take a quick break, my question is this. I told Dave that his point was well taken about Gillespie. He does turn the ball over too much for my liking, and for Barnes' liking, because he doesn't like his point guards careless with the ball. And quite honestly, I like Gillespie a lot, but he is careless with the ball at times. With Berg and a couple of Boswell, we've seen Boswell pay some backup point guard last year. Could we see Gillespie, just an idea I had a moment ago, could Gillespie be in spots? He's the best point guard on the team, there's no question. But in spots, could Tennessee's offense be better off putting him at the 2 guard and having him as an undersized scoring 2 guard at times? Could that be a move worth contemplating sometimes? I'll let you think about that. We just had a caller jump on. There's still one line available. If you'd like to join us, it's 865-200-5402. We're going to hear a quick message from the Dean, and we'll be right back to take your calls and talk Vols.
You're tuned to Garza Law. Tennessee Basketball Overtime, presented by Marcos Garza and my Garza Law Firm and your Garza Law Firm. Folks that live, work, worship with us, play with us in our community, work around us, not carpetbaggers. They're online at garzalaw.com. Your go-to law firm. DUI defense, criminal defense, personal injury, Social Security, disability, a myriad of other matters pertaining to the law. Don't play around. This is your life. Available 24/7 at garzalaw.com. Also, special shout out to our friends at WeShipFloors.com. We ship floors where the pricing's insane. The Supercore floor is the real deal Holyfield. And for right now, you're invited to head over to the website and take advantage through this holiday season. Ladies and gentlemen, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the sale. I'm talking about put the promo code Tony in and you'll get 45% off. Put the promo code Negadave in for 35% off, and that's the sale going on through the holiday over at WeShipFloors.com. Shout out to Alan and the gang at We Ship Floors. Also, speaking of the holiday, ladies and gentlemen, my friends at Calhoun's, feed the family for the holidays. You got it. Hot and ready smoked turkey. You have a feed 5 or a feed 10 option, or hot and ready smoked prime rib. It's all fresh, it's all delicious, and you'll get more at holidayfeedpacks.com. Again, holidayfeedpacks.com. All the information you need. And we're also presented by our friends at T3 Vodka. Score a T3 every single time with Tennessee's premium vodka. Handcrafted with passion, precision, and a whole lot of pride. T3 Vodka taking our volunteer state by storm. T3 Vodka. Handcrafted in the majesty of the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains, where quality isn't just a promise, but a way of life. Filtered 10 times, 80 proof. A smoothness unmatched. T3 is a 5-time gold medal winning vodka. And the 2025 SIPS Consumer Choice Award medal winner. Whether you're sipping it neat on the rocks or mixing your favorite cocktail, T3 Vodka, your choice for a premium award-winning experience. Hit a T33 and ask for T3 Vodka by name at your local restaurant or at your wine and liquor store. Distributed by Athens Distributing, and please drink responsibly. And speaking of responsibly, let's now get back to more on your Garza Law Tennessee basketball overtime.
865-200-5402 is the number to get on. Brian, your thoughts on my question that I prompted right before hearing from Tony right there.
You about Gillespie playing the 2-guard?
Yeah, just playing not full time, but just playing some off guard as an opportunity. First,
Yeah.
It takes the ball out of his hands a little bit until the offense is kind of in motion. But then also, I think it just gives him a little bit of a different kind of angle to attack from.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that maybe he could cut down on his turnovers just slightly if they can do that. And I think Abram and Gillespie, you have a lot of guard combinations. You can do a lot of things with those two guys, and you can put them at, maybe Abram can run some point guard, maybe Gillespie, they can go back and forth, and I think you could both could be 2 guards, both could be maybe point guards from time to time. So that's intriguing to think about what they could do and what they will do.
Let's go back to the phones. A couple folks jumped on the line. Let's go back to the phones.
I want to bring up one thing.
Hold on. We heard from Negadave. Let's hear from Positive, and then we'll hear your comment. Brian already queued him up. Let's go, Dave.
Hey guys, it's David Ackworth. How y'all doing tonight?
Doing well.
Hey, gosh, lately I seem to always be following that guy with giving Dave a bad name. I thought our 2-guard looked pretty good in the first 3 minutes last tonight. I'm not sure what game he was watching. Oh, I take that back. Yeah, we know he was watching the Vanderbilt game. Nate Ament hit 3 threes in the first 3 minutes. And he scored 13 or 15 tonight. Not Nate Ament, Amari Abram. Hit 3 threes in the first 3 minutes, scored 13 or 15. Didn't play a whole lot. Guys, we're playing a ton of guys. He's trying to figure out, who's going to get minutes on this team. He's still got a collection of basketball players. And, these are practice games. You can't, I don't understand how you can watch these games and go, oh, this is how we're going to be throughout the season. You don't know. Nobody knows. Negadave doesn't know. And I don't know for sure. Yeah, we'll get to see some really good competition next week. We'll get to learn. And as I said from the beginning of this season, this team's going to play its best basketball probably starting in mid-January. We'll have a better idea of how the roles are going to fall out, who's going to be playing what and how much time. Loved your idea, and I think we saw it Sunday night. Gillespie will play the 2-guard some, no doubt about it. I don't know who'll play the point when he does that, but Barnes in his career, they've done some point guard by committee in the past. So it's not the most unusual thing for that to happen. The action on his offense a lot of time is the guards and the post guy. It's not the action's not in the two guard. I think Kennedy Chandler was probably the only guy we ever saw where the offense ran through a point guard. Am I mistaken about that, or is that the only time? Normally the point guard is kind of just a passer around the perimeter and to kind of get things set up. Kenny Chandler was the only guy that I remember Barnes just going, "Okay, you're our offense, go to it." Is that how y'all remember it?
Well, I think Jordan Bone was a pretty darn good point guard that they would run some offense through him. They had a lot of curl screen or a lot of curl cuts, a lot of things that they would run for Jordan Bowden, and of course they had Grant and Admiral, and that was a pretty smooth operation there. And Jordan Bone was a guy that could get his own to an extent and could also kind of facilitate. So I think I'd put him on that list. But a guy, and I've said it. Maybe I'm the only one out there that thinks this. A guy that Gillespie reminds me a lot of, and about the first half of that Duke game, I saw him. I thought this. He reminds me a lot of Lamonte Turner, and I say that because Lamonte Turner was, pretty athletic but kind of undersized. He was really a two guard in a one's body, in a point guard's body, and he'd do another thing that I think Gillespie is going to do, which is he would kind of shoot you into a couple games and kind of shoot you out of a couple games. There's going to be games where he's on fire and you're saying keep shooting, and there's going to be games where he probably shoots when he shouldn't be and it's not his night, and he's going to drive you crazy. But both of those guys, and we saw Turner play some two guard, and then we would see him come in and play some one. I just think those guys remind me of each other. I think you can make it work either way, but you kind of have to commit to it. And if you're going to play him at the one primarily, which I think is what they're going to do, you've got to be okay with being kind of a score-first point guard. But unfortunately with him, as old as he is, he's not a freshman coming in there. If he's making these turnovers, Dave's right, against the Tennessee State, he's going to make those turnovers in SEC play, and you're just going to have to live with it.
Yeah, I just think, again, I think these games get so out of hand and things get so loose that sometimes it turns into a little bit of just having fun ball, and just I think that kind of leads to it. Again, we'll see later. I will say this. You can't. Nobody can complain about what I thought was a big step up in defense tonight, especially on guarding the 3-point line early in that game. And once again, it only got soft once they started making a bunch of substitutions and people's roles kind of get confusing sometimes. But I just love how Dave just completely ignores our front court. It's like, tell me what we do good, besides the whole front court, which is elite, which is pretty dang elite, and maybe the most elite front court Barnes has ever had. But let's just ignore that so we can focus on the negative. It's just guys, and you got to do one thing, guys. Don't encourage him. Just let him say his piece. Don't agree with him. Get him off the air because he's a show killer, guys. He is a show killer. I appreciate it. Talk to you.
Appreciate you, Dave.
I'll tell you one thing that they did well was they were 31 of 35 from the free throw line. They've clearly made an emphasis, and when the first of the couple games, they hardly ever got to the free throw line. I think they shot maybe one free throw a half in one of those games. Is that right, Alex? And
yeah,
for some context, Vanderbilt played Texas Southern tonight, who hadn't won a game. They're 0-5. They lost by 50 to Gonzaga. They lost by 34 to A&M. So Vanderbilt beat them by 34 or 35. So that's nothing to write home about.
No, and if Dave was
the
cheering
team they
on,
played is terrible.
If Dave was, I love you, Dave, but if you were cheering on Vandy, you'd be talking about how you'd probably be saying, the fact that you didn't put up 150 on these guys is embarrassing. But
yeah.
my thing is, I keep kind of harking back to that Duke scrimmage. Everybody kind of was in consensus agreement that Tennessee wasn't running a lot of offense, it seemed like Duke really was trying to win that scrimmage, and at the end, Barnsley's kind of doing the weird substitutions thing. Looks like he's kind of treating it more like a practice, and yet you were right there with one of the top, most talented teams in the country. I have a hard time believing that that's just a fluke, and that, yeah, you're beating these teams by 20 and 30 points, but there's just nothing. No, Tennessee's going to be fine. I think, and again, I've been wrong before. I may be wrong here. I think this team has nearly as much upside and high as the ceiling as any team Barnes has coached here. The problem is, it's going to take this team longer, probably. Maybe it won't, but I think it's going to take this team longer to develop because two of your best pieces are not guys that have been around the program. There's Gillespie, your two best players, at least right now, assuming Estrella's kind of banged up, easily are Ament and Gillespie. Neither one of those guys has ever played with each other before. Neither one of those guys has ever played for Rick Barnes before. So again, although as a fan, I don't like seeing this many kind of scrum games, if you will. I don't know what the word is, but I don't like watching this just terrible competition, 5 games in a row to start a season. But I think it was necessary for this team to look like they need to look going into next week. And a lot of these questions will be answered when we get to next week. Let's go back to the phones on your Garza Law Tennessee Basketball Overtime. Alex Myers in the seat for Tony Basilio tonight. Brian Hartman picking me up as he always does. Welcome into our next caller.
Hey guys, Don.
What's up, Don? We've had 3 Ds to start the show.
Yeah,
Dave,
3D
Don.
night. Is that right?
What you got for us, Don?
As far as the game went tonight and everything, it's like how many times the same football teams do the same thing. You come rolling out and you hammer them, and then you start relaxing a little bit. Not saying that's the right thing, but you do. But I thought positive, Dave. He pointed out something I was going to. When you're playing that whole roster and just running people in and out, you can't, I don't think, sit back and evaluate what that team's going to be. When you get down to 8, 9 players and people know their roles, and then let's take and see what it is. I don't know what will happen in the Houston game if J.P. Estrella's not playing. But if he is, everybody was pointing out, even negative, about having a good front court. It's going to be a better front court. He was really smoking up until he got hurt the other night. I agree about Ament Gillespie. I think when JP is healthy, I think he's the best player on the team. That's just my opinion, but because he can play inside. He's showing and step outside, hit 3. And I just think that, and he's a upperclassman, sort of, considering he didn't get to play last year. But I'm not worried about this team whatsoever until I have a reason to. And I don't think there's a reason not to be optimistic. I mean, we don't have, like Nigga Dave was saying, well, does he look like, Dalton Connect, et cetera, from there? Well, no. How many people are? We're talking about a first-round draft choice, a second-round draft choice, who were both fifth-year players when they come here.
And Ament will be that, but the problem is it's just too totally – I mean, you're not comparing apples to apples. One's like a fifth-year college player who's played a trillion minutes, played a lot of basketball, and is developed into his body. One is a kid who is stepping up to this level for the first time, who is trying to fit in on a roster where other guys are trying to fit in too. It's not, it's not like this roster was built and he comes in as an add-on. He's a part of this roster that's kind of been thrown together here. But I think you kind of hinted on a really good point. As a point guard, it's hard to play turnover-free basketball when your rotation is as open and as wide and big as Barnes has got it right now, because you don't necessarily know where guys are going to be. Is a guy going to cut the wrong way? Is a guy You're used to throwing a lob to one guy, and it's another guy this time, so maybe you throw the lob a little higher or a little, it's each player that's playing those meaningful minutes, they're going to round into shape as the minutes round into shape. So it's going to be easier for a guy like Gillespie when he's working with the same 4 to 6 guys playing on the court with him versus when you got 11, 12 guys rotating in there. And I'm not totally excusing it because he's right. Some of them have just been careless turnovers, no question, through the early part of the season. But I think the turnovers were cut down, in my opinion, when the rotation cuts down. I think that will continue to help with it as well.
I absolutely believe that's what, true of that. When you get that rotation down, everybody gets more used to the guys on the floor, where they're going to be. Turnovers will cut down. And, as far as talking about Gillespie, I don't know. And all I know is last year he was second team all conference. So it was something. I don't know. It's just, and I go back to what you all pointed out. When you look at that Duke exhibition game or whatever you want to call it, if Barnes wanted to win it, I believe he could have won it. I think, he had the chance to do that, but he chose to, check out all these players, see what they could do, et cetera. I think that had a lot to do with it, but I won't sit here and just ramble. But I just, I listen to the post game show after every game, and he just wires me out always first, and the first words out of his mouth is something negative. And I'm like, why are you doing that? What's the purpose? It's like the people that, like in a football game or basketball game, but football game because it's fewer games. If you pick against the team every single week, sooner or later you'll probably be right. But you never think about the 9 times you was wrong. You're just going to crow because you picked it right 1 time out of 10. I don't know. Anyhow, guys, I'll get off. Appreciate y'all being on.
Hey, thank you, Don. Yeah, Dave will play the hits now, won't he?
All I know is I can already taste that steak dinner he's going to buy us.
How do you think Dave likes his steaks? Think he's like a tartar guy or just
Dave
like extra crisp?
I think he wants a steak that you can throw through a window and break it.
Can you imagine? I want to take you to a place, Brian. Imagine. Now, I'm not talking about your local buffet. You're paying $12 and whatever. I'm talking about Dave and his lovely. Imagine you pull up and you're the waiter, and you recognize that voice, and Dave all day has just talked and just imagine how good this steak's going to be, and you go back to your cook and you go, no pressure, but this cat is going to need perfection. Can you imagine being that cook, the pressure? Because Dave's going to tell you about every inch of that steak. It feels like it's at 2 a.m. I'm talking about Dave and steak. What are we doing?
Imagine going on a vacation trip somewhere that's beautiful, and Dave's there like nitpicking everything to death.
That's a terrible cloud blocking that sunset, Brian. All right, let's get a word from TB in here. When we come back, we'll get more of your calls. We're not going to be on real long, so if you would like to add your thoughts to the show that you're listening to, the Garza Law Tennessee Basketball Overtime, go ahead and call in now, 865-200-5402. We got an open line if you'd like to get in here.
We'll get you back momentarily to another action-packed episode, or this action-packed episode of Garza Law Tennessee Basketball Overtime, presented by Marcos Garza and the Garza Law Firm, online at garzalaw.com. Special shout out to our friends at TLD Logistics, who provide your phone activity. My friends at TLD Logistics are online at tldlogistics.com. Whatever your shipping need, TLD Logistics has you covered. Also, a special shout out to Waterside Contracting. Maybe you have a dream. Maybe, this wintertime you're starting to think, I need to buy some land. I need to build on it. Waterside Contracting is your ticket. 25 years of making dreams come true for hundreds in our area. Whether it's custom homes or remodels, Waterside Contracting will build on your lot. They do incredible work all over the area. Check out the website, watersidecontractingllc.com. That's watersidecontractingllc.com. Quality without compromise, Waterside Contracting. When it's time for a fresh coat of paint, look, you're not going to run. You're not going to walk. You're going to run. That's what I'm trying to say to Walker's Painting. Walker's Painting, interior and exterior. Walker's Painting, making it beautiful since 1999 across our Knoxville area. New construction, repaints, commercial, free estimates available. And get this, mention you heard about it right here on Garza Law, Tennessee Basketball Overtime. 10% off your first job. Let's go! Run. Don't walk to Walker's Painting. 865-688-1410. That's 865-688-1410. Walker's Painting. You can check out the link if you forgot the number on our website over at tclub.team. And one other note for you before we get you back to the action. Living Vol fan, make Alumni Hall your one-stop shop for the Vol fans on your shopping list this holiday season. Come on, there's nothing better than your favorite Tennessee gear under the tree, whether it's a nice polo shirt or a new hoodie or something for that man cave. Pop in and see my friends at Alumni Hall and pop your friends with something new from Alumni Hall, the best selection of Tennessee gear. Alumni Hall, 3 Knoxville locations, also in Bristol, Johnson City, Murfreesboro, and alumnihall.com. It's easy to have a big orange holiday. Happy holidays from everyone at Alumni Hall, the ultimate Vol shopping experience. And now let's get back to another award-winning, action-packed episode of Garza Law, Tennessee Basketball Overtime.
Thank you, TB. This next guest that will be hopping on, I've heard a rumor. I haven't been able to listen to The Daily Show, 11 to 1 on Fox Sports Radio Knoxville. Or Tony's on there with Bino, John Adams, Brian, Matt Dixon, etc. But I've heard a rumor about our next guest that will be joining us, and I can't bring myself to believe that it's true, but somebody has told me that this next caller is no longer under wings, and I refuse to think that's the truth. Welcome in to our next caller. Who do we got?
Joshy boy.
Now, Joshy boy, are you calling under wings?
No wings, Brian. No wings.
Well, you can't fly without your wings.
I am on my own now. I am not under Tony's wings, nobody's wings anymore. I'm doing my own thing.
All right. Well, what did you think about tonight's game?
I thought that these D2 games are basically scrimmage games to see what we got, And I think Tennessee looked pretty good tonight. I wish they would cut down on the turnovers a little bit going forward this season, but all in all, Tennessee looked pretty good tonight.
Yeah, what'd you think about our point guard? He's kind of been the subject of discussion for much of tonight's game. The kid out of Greenville, Gillespie. What'd you think about him? Do you think people are too hard on him? Do you think do you like him? Do you like his play style? What do you think about him?
Yeah, I think sometimes he gets a little too aggressive, and guys like that who like risk versus reward, I feel like they could be a little bit more conservative with their passes. But I feel like Dave is wrong a little bit. Anybody can improve throughout the season, and I think Jacoby can get better and limit his turnovers throughout the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Neck a Dave on YouTube says, "Take this broken wing and learn to fly." Joshy boy. And then C. Brent TV says, can't be Joshy Boy unless you're under wings.
What the other comments say?
Take this broken wing and learn to fly.
I'm not going to take the broken wing and learn to fly. I'm doing my own thing now. But I'm glad everybody seems to be worried about me. But I tell it like it is. Y'all have a great night and go Big Orange.
I think he's been hanging out with the Poly one.
Yeah, I've noticed a big difference between Joshy Boy saying he's not under wings and what it was like when he was under wings.
Yeah, it's like Joshy Boy is hit puberty, and he's like now Joshy young man, and he's taken off on his own. I don't know. I still think he's under wings, personally. I think he's slipped out.
He's going to be under wings.
I think he's slipped out from underneath him, but I think Tony will kind of stretch his arms out and take him right back under. So that was a subject change. Let's get back to basketball here. Again, Tennessee, big winners tonight, 89-60 over the Tigers of Tennessee State, who had some interesting uniforms. Brian, did you notice? I don't pay a ton of attention to uniforms, but those were not my favorite uniforms. They
look like Florida International's football jerseys.
Yeah, a lot of.
I don't know what they're going for, like some kind of neon, like they're like on the South Beach Special.
Yeah, it looked like an alternate jersey or something. I don't know. Anyways, let's get back to the phones here. Welcome into our next call. Thanks for being there.
Hey, thanks, Alex. Thanks, Brian. It's no longer Joshy Boy. It's Joshua from now on. He's all growed up.
He's done up and growed on us.
Yep. Hey, when did we give up our 5th and 6th point of the night? Were we like 12 minutes into the game and we'd held them to 4 points, but we don't play decent defense?
Yeah, I don't know. That was a pretty brutal watch. Even as a Tennessee fan, I was kind of like, what are we? I looked at Tony at one point.
Cringy.
Yeah, I looked at Tony at one point, and I basically said, how am I supposed to? How are you supposed to do a post game on this? Like what? This isn't like it's like a borderline insult to competition there for a minute, where it's just like, what are we doing? That was a tough watch.
Yeah, watching those games, you can't watch the scoreboard. You just got to watch individual guys and them playing against themselves and playing the right way, and are they making mistakes? Turnovers are a huge problem, but are you going to turn the ball over and be that reckless when you're in a one-score game with somebody? Are you going to play the same way, or are you going to be totally lackadaisical like you are when you're up 30? When you're up, I think, 29-4.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard. I mean, because these guys are competitors. They've been going against each other. They've been, playing in AAU ball, high school ball, previous colleges. These guys are used to playing guys that challenge them physically, and you get up like that in a game, and your coach can say what you want, but we're all smart here. I mean, they're humans. They realize what the deal is, and I do think it's a little bit hard to focus, especially for that long of the game. And again, when you're kind of getting pulled in and out and the rotations are funky, you're never going to play a team like this. You can play a team that's better than you, make some mistakes, and pull an upset, and people say you played about as well as you can play. That was a perfect game, basically. You can be a 50-point favorite and win by 51, and people are still going to say, yeah, but, this and that. So you're never going to make everybody happy in a game like this.
For sure. Gillespie had 4 turnovers on the night, but 3 of those were on lobs, where teams are clearly, when we run that pick and roll, pick to the rim, and we throw the lob up. The last 2 teams, Rice and then Tennessee State tonight, both are sending a guy at the lob guy.
And straight shoving him a couple of times. Really, it's a dangerous play that should be called every time. When a guy jumps up in the air like that, I don't care if you're 300 pounds, you have no control over your body once your feet leave the ground. Really dangerous play, and there was at least 2 times I saw, and it may have been 1 or 2 of those been turnovers, but at least a couple of times where Okpara went up and just got shoved. And he's got a long wingspan, and when he can't reach back and grab the ball because his body has been physically moved, to me that should be called.
It's a foul. It absolutely is a foul. You're completely right. But the person throwing the lob has to recognize that too, that the defender's running, and that means you're open just to pull up and take a little floater from right there. And that'll be something that's addressed, I'm sure. That if teams are going to adjust and slack off of you and take the lob away, then that gives you an open. But Ament shot 10 shots, not 16. 9 of 10 at the free throw line. He's not going to be Dalton Connect or Chaz Lanier because it's a completely different skill set. Those are three just completely different players. One's a 6'5", just spot up shooter that didn't have a lot of put the ball on the floor game or go crazy driving to the rim. The other's a 6'6" guy who is a good 3-point shooter and was an incredible driver and could finish with both hands and play above the rim. And the other is the 6'11" guy with handles that can get anywhere on the court that he wants to, and that's an unbelievably hard thing to defend in itself. And those are three completely different players, and comparing them is stupid.
They're like 5
so
years
stupid
age
to compare those guys.
Yeah, and two of those guys are fifth-year grown men, and I agree with you. Even the two guards, even though they both played shooting guard, even those two older guys are two totally different style of player. But Brian, you're right. Two of those guys are men. One of them's a kid.
Now, I'll say this. I think, and what I meant to say earlier, and you put it correctly, I think Ament is just as valuable as those guys will be in a different way because obviously his production, he's just as valuable to the team and the success of the team as those guys were to their teams.
Yep. I mean, comparing those three guys, you might as well be comparing Chris Lofton and Felix Fakfara. They're not the same players. It's different positions. He don't even play the same position as those two guys, and those two guys didn't play the position even similar to each other. Does anybody think Chaz and Dalton played close to the same style of basketball and the same skill set? Raise your hands out there if you think that, because you could not be further from the truth. Last thing is, if y'all do have that steak dinner, Bronny, I want to come out of retirement and go back to my college years when I waited tables, and I want to be your server because I know that'll be a great tip that night. I know the way Dave treats servers. He is a good tipper and really, really kind to them. You can just tell it. It just exudes out of him that he treats people with kindness. He wouldn't complain about anything. He wouldn't send food back ever. Guarantee you he tips like 22%. Just the perfect customer. Anyway.
I appreciate you. How do we get on steak?
I just know that steak you can already taste it.
Yeah, but that butter starting to like a Calhoun's, like a nice Calhoun's ale steak. I can almost taste it, Briney boy. Let's get one final break. We got a caller on the line, which means if you want to get in, there's an open line for you, but do it now. We're basically plan to be on here about an hour, and we are just about at that mark. I think we're about 55 minutes, so we're going to hit a quick break. When we come back, we'll clear the lines, and once the final caller's off, we'll call it a night. So 865-200-5402 is the number. You can call that if you'd like to get on, but if you're going to do it, call now. We'll hear from Tony Basilio, then we'll be right back after this.
Going to get you back momentarily to this exciting, action-packed episode of Garza Law Tennessee Basketball Overtime, presented by my man, Marcos Garza, and your Garza Law firm, online at garzalaw.com. Whatever you need in matters of law, they've got you covered at the Garza Law firm, online at garzalaw.com. Pop over there. They're available 24/7 at garzalaw.com. Also, shout out to our friends at Calhoun's. They are, ladies and gentlemen, the taste of Tennessee. Remember, the Feed the Family for the holidays. Holiday packs are available for you. Special shout out, ladies and gentlemen, to my friends at VIP Play. You bet $20, you get $100 in bonus bets instantly. The promo code and the phrase that pays is TN Tony. Again, TN Tony. VIP Play live always. 200 plus leagues, numerous bet types, props, options. If you have a bet in mind and you can't find it on your book, check out VIP Play, because everybody gets treated like a VIP over at VIP Play. Gambling problem, 800-889-9789. 21 and over, located in the state of Tennessee to place a bet. Shout out to our friends at Connexial, Knoxville's own transportation logistics tech company. Proud sponsor of the My 20 Drive of the Game. What's it gonna be tonight, or have we announced it already? Connexial, your transportation platform as a service, revolutionizing your trucking industry nationwide. The goal is to help your fleet be more efficient, make drivers, make our roads safer, take control of your fleet, improve your safety scores, and make drivers happy. Shout out to Wichita, Ken, Kristen, and the whole gang. They will treat you like family because they are family. KONEXIAL.com. KONEXIAL.com. Speaking of family, the guy that keeps it insured here in the Rainier studio is Josh Collins. Through Erie Insurance, everything from pillar to post in here, our entire setup is insured through Josh Collins and Erie Insurance. You will experience the Collins Insurance difference online at collinsinsuranceTN.com. And when it's time for us to go for dose, we don't go for trace, we go for dose. We reach for an ice-cold Dos Equis. Dos Equis Lager Especial, the Golden Pilsner style beer made from the choice of hops. A balanced composition, smooth, clean finish. Party guest, always invited, never overstays his or her welcome. A Golden Pilsner style beer, nuanced blend of malts and earth tones. You gotta taste it to believe that. Go for Dos Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York. And a special shout out to my friends at Performance Medicine. How do we keep these hours? How do you do it, Tony? How you're just crazy. I mean, it's nuts. You're working so hard. I don't know about all that, but I'll tell you this right now. My friends at Performance Medicine, you want to take control of your wellness? You want personalized health solutions that'll fit your life? You want an approach to medicine that puts you first? You want comprehensive, proactive solutions empowering you to achieve optimal health on your terms? You want Performance Medicine. Online at performancemedicine.net and check out their YouTube channel over at Performance Medicine. And now, without further ado, let's get you back to today's edition of Garza Law, Tennessee Basketball Overtime.
As Tony just mentioned YouTube, and I want to invite you guys. I know they're trying to grow over there, and they are growing over there. I think they're up to almost 5,000 subscribers. Got a bunch of people on there tonight. It's a very entertaining way to consume the show, whether it's me or Tony or Bino or whoever that's on the show, because there is a live interaction in the feed if you're into that sort of thing. And a lot of it is pretty illiterate. But there's some funny comments down in there, some inside show jokes if you listen to the show. So I'd encourage you, if you're listening via Twitter Spaces, via the app, go out and check out Tony's YouTube stream and platform at some point, and give that a like and subscribe if you would. I know it helps him out, and again, it's a very entertaining way to consume the show. So last call here, as it's a couple minutes before 10. This will be the last time I read the number tonight. It's 865-200-5402 if you'd like to get on and call and make a point. We'll go back to the phone. I think it's the first time I've had the pleasure of speaking with just this gentleman on the air. I'm excited to do so as we welcome in our next caller, Jack in Wartburg. Welcome in.
Hey, guys. I appreciate y'all coming on tonight.
I appreciate you listening.
I've about had all I can handle this guy talking about Gillespie not being a point guard. I followed this kid all through high school, all the way through Belmont, Maryland, and here. I watched him at the Arby's Classic as a senior in high school. They played the Dr. Phillips High School, and they deemed themselves as the best public high school basketball team in the country. And I watched this kid as a point guard bring Greenville High School back and beat this team in the Arby's Classic up in Bristol. And they had 3 D1 players on their team. One of them was the Krugel kid that went to Florida that played really good defense. And they had one to go to Kansas, and I'm pretty sure one went to maybe Mississippi State, if I'm not mistaken. And this kid is, undersized, and he brought them back as a point guard and led them to beat them. Then they won 2 state championships. And then he led this Maryland team that was, not even supposed to do what they done last year, led them to the end of the Sweet 16.
The king crab of the Crab Five.
Yes. I mean, where is he getting this? I mean, who is going to be just like that ball game was in the first 5 minutes was already over with. It's going to be hard to be focused in a game like that. Now he's going to have. I mean, everybody has their bad moments. I mean, did Ziegler not have a bad game or throughout the last 2 years we watched him here?
Well, I think the stark contrast, and here's part of the issue. I think here's why it's so glaring to Dave is because Ziegler typically did a really nice job of not turning the ball. I mean, there were games I remember where he literally an entire game he's playing 35, 38 minutes and didn't have a turnover. But Ziegler also, his shooting percentage, it seems like it went down as his career progressed. And realistically, and I got a lot of love for the guy, but one of my favorite basketball players here in my lifetime. But the reality was he wasn't a very good shooter last year. Like, him scoring was not really his way of helping the team, right? And so, yeah, Gillespie is probably going to turn the ball over more throughout the year than Zakai Ziegler did as a guy who was in his fourth year in Rick Barnes' system. But he's also going to provide more offense, I think, throughout the year than a guy like Ziegler did. So, yeah, if you're comparing what you've seen for the past half decade here, yeah, he turns the ball over too much. But Gillespie also capable of doing some things athletically that we haven't had at that point guard position in a little while.
Yes, I mean, they're going to grow as a team. I mean, they've not been together no time. I mean, they're going to grow as as the year goes along, and Ament gets better. He's going to get stronger. He's going to grow into his body more. This team is going to gel, and they're going to get better as the year goes along. I don't know why we're calling in and being so daggone negative over an exhibition game, basically. We're playing nobody. Yeah, they're going to take their bumps and bruises. That they're liable to get beat by Houston out there. But I'm not going to be down on the team. Let's see where we're at come March. Let's not be negative in November over these games when you're up by 30.
Jack, Jack,
what are we doing?
Well, I think there's really been one caller, and unfortunately he bats leadoff every show, and so it kind of sets the tone. But I don't really know of any other caller that's been negative. I think it's one guy. But let's move off that for a second because we're giving him a whole lot of attention here. I want to ask you a question. You mentioned, and Brian, I want you to chime in on this too, if you would, Ament and how he's going to continue to get better, and I think that we all believe that. I think from the Duke game where he looked a little antsy, looked a little nervous, and that first game, to me in the last couple games, particularly tonight, I thought he's looking – and yeah, his numbers weren't his best tonight. I thought he's looking really, really comfortable out there. I mean, you saw him tuck a couple shots from three that I thought – that's kind of an early shot, early spot to take that. Maybe he could be a little more patient, but I don't mind that of Ament because I want him being aggressive, and I think that this team will reach its ceiling if and only if Ament is one of, if not the most aggressive player on the floor. So I personally, I like what I'm seeing out of him. He's not forcing things, but he's certainly being more assertive, even in the half-court setting. Brian, do you agree with that?
Yeah. Go ahead, Jack.
Go. And I think they'll do some. I mean, do you not see them maybe doing some ISO stuff like they did with Dalton Connect?
Oh, I think there's no question.
Back when he was here, bring the ball up the court and kind of do 5 out and let him beat his man down the lane. I mean, do some things like that. What they're showing now is not what you're going to get. They're going to shorten this rotation.
Yeah,
they're going to start. They're going to get it figured out. They're going when the rotation gets shortened, and then they're going to figure out what this offense likes the best. I mean, and this Ziegler, he was good with the lob. Yeah, he was better than and Gillespie is getting better with this lob. But that lob is not going to be the identity of this team like it was with Ziegler, as far as point guard. This Gillespie can score, and he's going to score.
I think Ament, yeah, you're going to see some ISOs for sure, but I think you're going to be able to manipulate some matchups. I think, I don't know if Barnes will do it, but to me, I would utilize him so many different ways. There would be times, depending on the matchup and the team I'm playing, I'd play him at the 4. You might could squeak away with him at the 5, but I'd play him at the 4 some. I would even play him at like point 4, where maybe he's not the lone guard, quote unquote, but I would run the offense through him sometimes. I think you're going to see some pick and roll stuff with him because not only like a guy like Okpara or Estrella or Cade Phillips, where you can roll him to the basket, you can run some pick action with him way further out. Instead of that screen being set 15 feet from the basket, you can run that thing out at the three-point line, and if the defender drops down and you get the guys sagging off, unlike those other guys, he could easily read it, pop back, and now he's got an open three. So I think that they will see how the matchups to play out and determine, but I think that they're going to get some switches on him and just let him use some basketball IQ. You got a guy that's 6'5" on you, okay? If they switch to that, take him to the hole. You got a guy who's big, drive past him. You know what I'm saying? You can shoot over the guys. I think they're going to be able to do so many cool things with him. And I think you're right. And I think other callers are right. We really haven't seen the offense yet. But I still think I get most excited and I almost kind of stand up in my seat wherever I'm watching when I see him get out on a fast break and cross the half-court line when Tennessee's got numbers. Because nobody wants to stand in front of him. But he's also, unlike some guys that are just big and athletic, he's a really, really nice passer. And I think that is where he is going to be the most dangerous. And I think it's no coincidence that the NBA sees him so favorably. Well, he's a guy who can handle the ball. Where if you watch the NBA night in and night out, there are tons of running up and down the court in that league. And I think that's where he can be the most dangerous and be the most effective because guys in college just aren't built to stop a guy like that who can move at that size like he does.
Yeah,
I
think our transition basketball offense is going to be better than what it's been in the past. And I think some of this getting down there in half court and getting hung and getting stuck in the mud and not scoring, going on these scoring droughts. I think we're going to be way better with him, Gillespie. You're going to see some more running. I feel like you're going to see some more running up and down the court.
I certainly hope so.
And I really like what Carey, how he's came along these last couple of games. I feel like he's going to be. I can feel like he can play a vital role because I feel like he's like a Maimon type player. That's what he kind of reminds me of. Jerron Maimon. I mean, he looks like he could be a great tight end on football. I mean, he's got soft hands. He can dribble with the ball. He can make good passes. He's always looking for cutters. I'm excited to see where this team goes. I mean, I like a team. We kind of knew what we had these last couple of years coming into the season. But I feel like this year we've got plenty of room to grow and see where we're at the end of the year for once.
Well, Jack, I appreciate it.
And on defense, let me ask you this: on defense, what about some? What if they come out and we could switch it up and play some 1-3-1 with Ament with his length at the top.
Yeah, that's something we haven't discussed, and I'm at fault as well, Jack. It's a good point. Not only is your front court on offense, you're going to be able to do some things and you're going to have some depth. But the same thing on defense. And this is not your front court of 1990 where you got a bunch of big bodies that can't move. I mean, you're kind of classic big body Carey. I don't know how much he'll play on a night-in, night-out basis. That's my boy Jerron Maimon you're talking about. But he's a big body, and he's going to be able to go in there and foul some guys. And if somebody, heaven forbid, gets hurt, he's a guy who can play some spot minutes, and I think play some valuable minutes throughout the year. But really, outside of him, all the Tennessee's big men are guys who can move, who can get out and guard away from the basket, even Okpara to an extent. But I mean, again.
And the more
switches and everything.
The more threes Okpara keeps hitting and gets that on paper,
hit
the more they're going to have to. The more of these teams, when we do get an SEC play, the more they're going to have to. They're going to have to honor that, and the more you can get them out there, then that's going to open that up, and that's going to open that up even more for, like, say, a Mint to drive in because he's going to get that big body out of the lane.
Yeah, I think Tennessee defensively, if you decide to switch things, there's really not. If Carey's in there, maybe him or Okpara a little bit, but I think 1 through 4, you can pretty much Tennessee's can kind of switch and that's another thing with Ament that we haven't talked about a lot is that he's just as versatile on defense because he can kind of forgive some sins, if you will, on the basketball court where maybe he gets beaten or maybe somebody gets by a defender, but his length, he's able between him and Okpara. People underestimate how good of a shot blocker Okpara is. We saw it at times last year, but He is an elite, not a good, not a very good, an elite shot blocker. And so you add a guy like a Mint with his size playing the 3, you're going to have some rim protectors and some guys who can go up and get the rebound. So I think this team's going to be just fine. I do think it's going to take them a little bit longer to gel. I don't think they're going to look their best. They're going to be playing their best ball in November. And I don't want them to be playing their best ball in November. Now, could they go out and win this tournament? Sure. I hope they do. But, critics of Barnes have talked about December national champions and all this and that. Well, we've got a team right here that quite obviously is going to have to grow into this thing. And you got to be okay with that. If you want the other end of it, you got to be able to go through some growing pains. So, Jack, I appreciate you being there.
I appreciate
you
y'all.
in.
Thank y'all.
Brian, I'll get your final thoughts. We want to do an hour. We've now done, let's see. Let's go over here and look on Twitter how long we've been going for.
Hour plus.
Yeah, over an hour. Looks like we started at 8:59, so about
probably more
an hour
than
and
this
12
kind
minutes.
of game deserves.
Oh, an hour and 12 minutes is probably about an hour and 7 minutes longer than this type of game deserves. Because I know myself, but I think I speak for everyone when we say we're ready to play some real competition. But Brian, I'll get your thoughts. I appreciate you, buddy, for being on here and carrying the show as you do.
I
I'll get your final thoughts
on anything, but
we'll get
you did a great job.
We'll get your thoughts on this game, Brian, before we hit the kind of the real competition. Your thoughts on this game, and then just kind of the 5 games that have led up to this point.
Well, you wrapped up. You put a bow on the first 5 in the quadrant 4 portion of your schedule, and you won by an average of nearly 30 points a game. And I can't really complain a whole lot when you do that. If you mess around in a game or two and let a team hang in there and have to execute in the final few minutes to win a game like this, that's the problem. But this team these games were never in doubt really in the second half of any of them. So there's really no complaints. And I think Ament, I like how assertive he is. I like how confident he looks when he plays. I kind of like the body language he exhibits. I believe he's going to be just as valuable as a Dalton Connect was late in the year in a different way. He won't be the same type of player, but he can be just as valuable. So I'm looking forward to see what next week has to hold. They're going to play 3 games in a row, 3 straight days against better competition, and they better get plenty of sleep between now and then.
Absolutely. It's another thing they mentioned on the broadcast about those games. Do you not want to maybe consider getting some of these starters out in a blowout game like that? Rick Barnes decided to play a bunch of those guys pretty late into that ball game. We'll see if it affects. These are young guys. It's early in the season. Certainly we've talked about them needing to gel, so we'll see how it plays out. I'm just excited to see. Unfortunately, it's a 1 p.m. Eastern game on Monday, so Brian, it will work well for you guys as you get off the air, go straight into a watch party, and then obviously the show afterwards. I will be at work, as will I'm sure a lot of fans, but maybe we'll try to sneak a TV peek or 2 in here and there.
You've got a phone that'll work.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And now that YouTube TV
just
and
keep
ESPN,
it charged up.
Yeah, now that YouTube TV has ESPN again, maybe I'll be in luck. So until then, we'll watch Butch Jones as he is fading to Louisiana, as Louisiana is looking to put another drive and extend their lead. But that's really getting towards omelet time if we start discussing Negative, his waiter and steaks, and Butch Jones football. It's getting towards omelet time, and we've still got a little while before we get there. So we'll wrap this up. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much to Mrs. B and Tony B. Tony B, get some rest. I know you've got a big weekend ahead of you. Be on after the Florida game. And, of course, on tomorrow, live at Calhoun's at 11 o'clock. If you would like to come out and celebrate the great Titans Bill and wish him a happy birthday, they're going to have some cake for him. And, as always, it's hard to beat. Doesn't matter what the weather's doing outside because they've got that covered patio out there. It's hard to beat Calhoun's. We had Calhoun's tonight here at the Ray Mears studio. Mrs. B picked it up for us, and it was delicious as always. So thanks to them. Thanks to the Garza Law Firm. This has been the Garza Law Tennessee Basketball Overtime. Until next time, go Vols. Let's end the streak.